Well, good evening. What is this? Well, it's a new 3D printer, of course. So this is the first episode of the Community 3D Printer, and sorry, I should say first series, because the plan is to do more than one. Now, in this series, we have together bought a machine, so there's no sponsors involved, there's no machine sent out for review. This is a unit that we bought together thanks to Patreon and to live stream donations. And we will build it together. I'll show you all the steps. I'll make some episode out of that. We'll test it, we'll try to improve it, we'll mod it, and finally we'll give it away. So some of you lucky viewers or Patreon members and donators, you will win it, more or less. So with that said, I think we should check out what came in the box.
So here in the frame parts, we get these three that keeps the frame in parts. We also get the extruder holder. We get these parts that keeps the extruder running up and down and keeping it in place. We also get the bearings that are rolling the Z-axis up and down, and the frame parts, of course, and some extra parts that will be much more clear when we start building it. We also get a ton of different screws, mostly M3 and M4. The construction is mainly M4 screws, so here's a bunch of those. In the electronics we get two power supplies, one for the heated bed and one for the rest of the machine, which is pretty neat. So the big one is for the heated bed. We get 4 stepper motors, 3 identical for the different axes, and 1 for the extruder. We also get a LCD panel, a motherboard, 2 fans, some end stops and some cables. We get some acrylic covers for the motherboard and for the LCD. We also get the glass bed and the heated build plate. We also get some PLA, some extra tools, and these are the extruder and the belts. And here's some final tools, USB cable, and some stuff that I don't know what they are yet.
Alright, so we had a peek in the box, and I think it's time that we do some assembly. So the plan is to assemble most of the frame, I think, at least. We'll see when we go on. And then we'll make another episode for electronics, and maybe even a third one for calibration and setup. Or maybe it's just going to be 2 episodes, so 2 or 3. And yeah, with that said, I think we should get started. But before we do that, I just want to show you guys, if you decide that you want to build along, you can always order it. I ordered my machine from eBay from China, I think it was, and it just took a few days to arrive. And you can see here the price. This is in Swedish kronor, but you can always convert that if you want to. And I think everything worked out smoothly. It arrived in a good box, and yeah, it looks like everything is in. The only thing that I'm missing is a manual. So I didn't really find one. You can email if you want to. I found something similar. It's not from the same seller, but it's a similar looking design, so I'll probably end up making my own instruction manual in this video. So if you bought one of these machines, you can always check out this video, and it's going to be easy to follow along. So speaking of that, let's go assemble the frame. Alright, so for the first step, we have the parts here. These do, however, have a upside and a downside. So these are the top vertex thingies. So they have on this side a spacer or a hexagon triangle, so we won't have that side up. That is actually the downside. So we're going to put in a M4 and with a screw on the edge like so that you can see, yeah, that's how it works. And we're going to do that on all 4 places, and then we'll just slide on the rod like this and then tighten it up. Let's do that. I'm just going to hand tighten this a little bit, doesn't have to be too much. And we're going to repeat that on all the different steps. Like so. And we can attach one of these. Just sliding it on, starting to screw everything in. And of course with this one you have to screw a little bit more. And then you just repeat. Now, I find it a little bit easier if you tighten the first one on the inside first. Now, if you would have followed the manual, it clearly says that you should attach You should only have one on each side attached, because otherwise they don't go together. So there's no way for me to push everything in here. So I actually have to unload one of them. Okay, so here we go. Just double check again, make sure that all are orientated in the same direction. And now if there's a little bit of a slack, you should be able to push all in more or less at once. Align all the channels. They are now aligned, which means that we can push everything together. It should be. We're having some issues. That's this corner here. It's just a little bit too tight. That's it. Here we have. All the corners are aligned, and we can now do the final screw, strengthening of all the screws. All right, there we have it. The frame part is done. Step 1 is done. Yeah, just a lot of tightening of the screws. We're gonna try to push the profiles together with the corners, so everything is as tight as possible, because that's what you want to have on this stage and on next stage. And speaking of next stage, let's do that. Okay, so this is what we need for the step number 2. Now, don't do like me and get confused by the manual, because these are not what you're supposed to use. So these are for rolling later on the rods here. These are actually the parts that you need. Now, the instructions says that you should take one of the M300 from outside and then one of the bearings, and then you should close off with a nut. Now that's a little bit tricky getting all that done, so let's give it a try. So my tip is to use a plier, which makes it much more easier to get down here. And then it should be smooth sailing. So when we have one side done, all we have to do is repeat on the other the other two sides. All right, and that is step number 2 done. So all the bearings are rotating freely, so make sure you don't tighten them up too much. Great success! Alright, so for the 4th step, we are gonna reuse this part from the 3rd step, and we're gonna use the rest of these rods together with the 3 big pieces and just a bunch of M8 screws. So by just looking at one of these, it's quite important that we have the hole downwards. So we want to have these 2 grooves towards up, building like this for example, because through here we will have end stop cables and things like that going. So with that said, I think it's time to assemble this. It's more or less exactly the same as this stage. So we pre-tighten 2 screws, actually all the screws, so there's 8 on each side because we now have double rods, you can see here. So that means that it's a lot of screws, but yeah, let's just get on with it. And again, this side down, always tighten one side because we want to move them all together, just like we did with the 3rd step. So I'm gonna do this, just follow along with the time lapse. Okay, so it's now time for the last step again. Wow, that really did take a little bit of time to get it all together. But such is life. That's why we have video editing. So you don't have to see it all. But it is a little bit meditating to do this as well. And this step is actually pretty fun to do because it is a little bit complicated. Trying to get everything to fit in together at the same time. That's pretty exciting. Looks like I'm doing it on the first try, but we'll we'll just have to see. Hey! Here we have the base frame. We just need to tighten all the screws again, which will take a few minutes, but hey! Step number 4 is almost complete. Alright, so for this step you want to have the smallest Allen key, and we want to put these, what do you call them, synchronous wheel? Not sure why they are called that, but they are. They are a groove on each motor, quite small one. You can see it if we hold up one of the engines like this. I should be able to show you. You can see that they are, one side of the motor is slightly milled down. So on these screws there are 2 adjustments Allen keys here. You want to make sure that one of them goes onto that axle, because there's no, these are just round on the inside, so there's not much we can do there. Alright, so let's do that. And we also want to have a unanimous distance between the black plate here. So in my case, I'm going to use something that is around 3 millimeters, which is a penny. Not a penny, but a coin. That's what they call. So I'm just using that as a distance, pushing down the whole wheel and tighten it a little bit. Just tightening one of them and then the other, just to center it. That should be good. Now let's repeat on the other 2. And there we are. We can now see that the distance is good. So what we want to do is just tighten them down a little bit more, but not too much. Don't break it. It's a quite small socket here, so be careful with that. And that is this step done. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so now at the number 6 step we are using the motors again, the vertex frame, and a lot of Allen keys. Now the goal here is to mount the motors, and apparently, according to what they're telling me, the wire should be up when the hole for the other cables are down. So when this hole is down, the motor wire should be up. So that is what we're supposed to do. Now the screws go in from the other side, which is annoying. So apparently you are supposed to manage that somehow, getting all the screws in. So I'm assuming I need to put the frame up, maybe lower them from above. Some of them actually needs to almost be drilled out a little bit. That's interesting. Guess I'm going to do, just gonna drill this one out. Huh. The position is a little bit like that. Cool. So let me just do this and jump right back in. Now I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but this is how I'm doing it. So I put everything in, all the screws down. I'm now taking the motor, making sure that everything is in right orientation. And there are grooves here that you can go down, and you should be able to use those to help with the screwing in of the buttons. I don't know if you can see here. Let me show you. So these ones should help. So I'm gonna do that for this motor, and then I'll just do the rest one as well. My God, that is annoying. You can't really get any access here, so I'm actually using pliers to help bending them. Oh wow, this is annoying step. So I'll probably end up doing it off camera, so you don't have to see it. So I'll see you when they are done. So one of the things I'm doing here is that I'm attaching one of the 4 screws to the motor first, and then I can, using the holes here on the side, I can actually reach in and at least a little bit help out to tighten it by hand at first, because if you just push from one side, it's not going to work. So using it from 2 sides helps a little bit. But yeah, it is a pain in the ass. Alright, so for this step, where we're doing the end stops. It actually only says 3 of the M4x10, but I believe that we need even more for the big frames later, so I put them right here with the big frame part over here. So we're gonna probably use all of that, but we'll start off with these ones. So we take one of the end stops, we put in the screw, and loosely on the back side we also apply the N3 nut, just tightening it a little bit because we're going to use this later, so it can slide onto one of the rails later on. Now we just want to double check. So we take one of the end stops that don't have any connector just yet, so we want to use that. We want to have it on the alright, never mind that, the wire is going up. That's all I can tell. So then we take one of these 2.5 like so, and we plug them in together. Now these will use the small Allen key as well, so I'm just gonna, there are some heat clamps here as well. They're not really well put on, but I suppose that you could. Just want to tighten this in a little bit. Then we're actually going to mount them on one of the top here of the rail. Just going to slide it on. I think they said around 5 centimeters margin, so that should be around here. Of course we will adjust this a little bit later, but this is just for rough placements. Alright, so I'm just going to lightly tighten that over there. And then apparently you are supposed to thread the wires through here. But I'm thinking that we need to put on the other frame as well. So, well, actually that should go, you see the wire will go in here. So when we put on another frame, it will just be on top. So we can thread down the wires through the hole of the rod. And we should see them coming down the other end. Let's just keep pushing the filament, not filament. I'm so used to saying filament. The wire, there we go. We see the end now on this side. I'm just going to continue dragging that out. And from this side, just guiding the wires so that we have some slot here. So we want to leave a little bit space just so we can push everything down here later. So this is how it should look. That's working. Now let's do the other ones. Alright, so those are done, and while you can, it's a good idea just to check them that they are clicking, everything works, and that the wires are decently attached. Now, mine doesn't have the heating here, so I don't know if I can do that. I'm just gonna leave them for now. Maybe I'll do something when we put on the next stage. So if we look at the other end of these rods, we can see that the wires are sticking out. Now, what we want to do is to take our big frame again, and at these points we're gonna put in the M4 and the nuts. It's a little bit trickier this time. I didn't say it was easy, I said it was easier. Now we are gonna attach the rods here, so we want to be just a little bit careful and just tighten them just as we did with all the other aluminum profiles. So I'm gonna get the screws in here and then we'll go from there. Now remember the holes I was talking about here? These are the ones that we're gonna thread the screws through now, so make sure that you get this correct. So here, you wanna have the end stop towards the inside of the machine. I'm doing this reverse now, so I'm doing it from beneath. I am taking the wires, like so, sticking them through the first hole, through the second hole. Now they're coming out here. Then it's just a matter of aligning it, getting the end stop on the right side before we insert the arm. And with that, we have our first arm mounted. So I'm gonna stand that up. I'm gonna do the other ones and check in with you in a second. Okay, it's getting quite late, but I have a good sturdy frame so far. We also even have the top here. The plan is to continue soon, but for this episode I think we're done. I'm getting a little bit too tired to do this correctly, and yeah, it's starting to look like something, and it's actually pretty cool. So I'm really happy with the results so far. The screws are annoying but it gets the job done, and I think they will put everything together to a good frame. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Make sure that you check in the next episode, so stay subscribed, ring that bell button so you know when I'm building the next one. If you want to continue building with me, now please know that I don't know if this is gonna work and if it's good or not, but if you want, you can check it out on the eBay affiliate link down below. So if you order the same machine, remember, if you're a Patreon user, you can always win this machine later, or a live stream donator. But if you just want to join along, you want to buy it anyways, check down the link down below and we can build it together. So what's really important is to thank all the Patreons. So just make sure that you stay around here for a few more seconds. Check out all the epic people down here that are just amazing. They're really helping out. They are Patreon subscribers. They are live stream donators. Yeah, these guys are awesome. Just make sure that you check them out. I'll be here while you do, and see you guys in the next video. Yeah, I'm still here. You should check out the Patreons here. They are the awesomest guys that you can ever find. Guys and girls, they are everywhere. With that said, over and out. See you in the next episode.